Welcome to Shruti Outloud. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Vivek.
Hi, Shruti. How are you?
All good, all good. And welcome to Shruti Outloud. So for our audience, before we go ahead, I would like to tell them a little about you. So Vivek here is a teen entrepreneur and he is the youngest recipient globally at Draper University Hero Training and Startup Health Academy. And now I would like Vivek you to tell a little more about yourself beyond these things.
Surely. First of all, thank you for having me to your show. Highly excited for our next chat. So basically, this is Vivek. I run Sere Retail.
Mm-hmm.
I've been into entrepreneurship for the past 1.5 years, but one can say that the seeds were sown at a very early stage. So I personally have been interested into various aspects where we can directly impact a life instead of indirect impact.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, I personally love reading, have skills for writing. I've written a couple of blogs for a few of the magazines to say so. So that's how I've been personally been.
So do you have a personal blog that maybe our audience could hop on and read a little about, you know?
I did have, but it's inactive now, so bad luck for everyone.
All right. So hopefully, guys, you will come across some articles that have been written by Vivek in near future, and hopefully, he is going to go a really long way from here.
Yeah, surely.
All right. So let's take the conversation ahead, and we have done a little bit of introduction and everything. So maybe tell our audience a bit about how do you feel being a teen entrepreneur? What are your feelings when it actually happened? And what was that first feeling that you felt that, was it nervousness? Were you anxious? Were you happy and, jumping on clouds and stuff? What was it?
Surely. So we'll start this with a very short story, how we stumbled across this thing. So it wasn't that out of the bed I just got this eureka moment, I just jump out and start building something.
Mm-hmm.
It was very gradual to begin with. So the journey almost started when I was in class 11th. So I changed my school, I moved to a bigger school now. And the journey was like I have to go for additional classes because of the best performing batches in my coachings. There we actually, what happened, we had a 2-hour siphon in between our coachings when our classes begin, and we reached the center. So in those 2 hours with a group of 3 more friends, I actually started sitting out at these local retail stores around our coaching. So this happened for the next 1.5 years, and weekly.
Vivek, just a second. Before you go ahead, can you tell our audience how old were you when you were in 11th grade? And basically just to give them an idea that how old were you basically when this whole idea started?
Surely. So I was in my late 16s, so one can say 17.
Okay. All right. Please go ahead now.
Just 2 years back from now. So,
all right.
So I was during that time, and I weekly ended up working at 40 odd stores. So there were 40 weeks, and every week I used to change a store.
Okay.
And in the whole process, what we did was actually build very deep lasting connections from these retailers. And as we say, these retailers are everything. These are your local medicine wale bhaiya, they are local grocery wale bhaiya, even your hardware store that sells nails and hammers. So we actually interact with everyone. When we talk of feeling, it was more gradual, so it wasn't any kind of excitement. But yeah, I do still remember it was almost 16th September 2019 last year when we were finalized with the whole plan. And when we first went ahead and showed it to everyone that now this is how we're going to do this at scale, then that was a kind of emotional moment that we could realize that this could potentially lay out in a larger plan, and it wasn't just a vain thing that will go in vain.
All right. So, so what was that feeling when you finally, you realized that, okay, so this is going to go somewhere
I was a bit numb because we could see that how big of an impact we can create, but also there was a loads more of excitement in there that, yeah, we can actually kick out our services and serve around 100x to 200x of the people that we initially imagined we could even talk. Now we can talk of serving them with our services, with our products. So
Absolutely. So obviously you, apart from being numb, I'm sure there was just, this joy as well, because, you could see what this thing that you're building can do for the world and, possibly, expand it wherever and, as in, wherever possible.
So we first had this interaction of the mentor that we were actually actively in touch. So a very well-known name in the World Economic Forum who advises regularly. And from there we showed him the plan initially and we laid out our next 5 years projection that where we can take this. And we both walked off the table with a very good smile and all across the table precisely.
Right. Okay. So now let's hop on to what exactly you have built and, maybe tell the audience a bit more about it and what do you call it and, basically, the journey of your startup.
Surely. So what we are building is essentially, we call it Sere. Sere essentially, very simply, enables your local kirana wala guy or the mom and pop stores that we say to cross-sell medicines and supplements to their existing loyal customer base. So when we strip into details, what we essentially mean is that these local kirana guys have been selling FMCG products or the fast-moving consumer packaged goods products. Now, when they actually become a part of a Sere network store, we brand them, standardize them to a level, and enable them to cross-sell products of other daily needs of the consumer, like medicines or supplements or even cosmetics. So, at this moment, we are nearly 53 stores strong in South Delhi itself.
Wow, that's a really good number. In less than 2 months.
Yeah, so we began onboarding store at a pace of near about 1 store a day, and pre-COVID we reached 3 stores per day. So
wow. Okay, so maybe I have got a lot of other questions also, but now that we are on this topic of COVID, maybe let's expand it a little and maybe let's talk about how that is playing a role into what you are building, and has it been sort of, has it helped with the growth, or is it becoming a hindrance? Or, basically, I would really like to sort of, have you, cast some light on this.
Definitely. So we have been very fortunate to be on the right side of the table for this. So our growth has, the number of calls that we are receiving from the retail partners has shooted near about 40x in the past 2 weeks.
All right.
So
wow.
Earlier, we are foreseeing that once the lockdown is over, our onboarding team can nearly onboard near about 15 to 20 retailers a day. That is the growth that we're expecting after the lockdown is over. Also, because in the whole process, we end up serving the customer, providing them their medicines and supplements and cosmetics at almost comparable to wholesale rates. So even the customer demands have shooted near about 20x in the past 2 weeks. So it has made us a positive impact.
But you're still, as in, you're more locally, as in this thing is mostly working in South Delhi as of now.
Yeah, we currently have stores in South Delhi, and we had a pipeline of stores in West Delhi, but after a very rapid boost, we are now have pre-built a network of stores of near about, just based on calls, near about a network of more than 200 odd stores all across Delhi NCR, even including Gurgaon. So based on the network of the retailers that have put on word of mouth, we have been able to shoot our calls rapidly.
Wow, that's a really good number actually. Congratulations. It's a very good achievement.
So thank you.
So, all right, now that we have sort of, talked about the whole COVID situation, now let's get back on the topic about the journey and everything. So, what were the hurdles that you possibly, might have come across, or were you ever not taken seriously because of your age? Did that ever happen, or everything went smoothly?
Absolutely. So I'll first take the second question. So when it was definitely the factor. So when we were talking, we were convincing the initial team members, the initial set of mentors, initial set of to-be investors,
Mm-hmm.
even the local partners, the
Right.
retailers and the distributors. It was very difficult to convince, to gain their trust. It is very difficult for us. So
Right.
I
Right.
did figure out an hack. I basically started growing my beard a bit, so it can actually help in improve.
Okay.
I started wearing specs. So
All right. Oh, wow,
even
that's
I
a very
did
good
got
hack, actually.
so that I do not know that it did it help or not, but majorly most probably they did saw the passion in us that we can take this, we are serious. We used to, like, I still remember a story when the distributor actually denied us for 5 times, and we
Oh.
went there for the 6th time, and the 6th time what we did, we actually tagged into RWA Association of a region in South Delhi
Uh-huh.
and took demands from that association based on a 2-day survey to that distributor and asked him that, can you please bill me goods of worth 80,000 and I'll give you payment straightforward. And he was very happy and then he onboarded us. So we
Ah.
had many parts of the supply chain to actually gain that trust.
Wow. So did
So
anyone ever ask you for your age? Did
yeah,
that ever
many.
happen?
Yeah, many a time people do ask me, but I was very fortunate that the conversation was after we had done most of the parts of business.
So
So
they were already
that
convinced with your
they
conversation.
were already done, but just the last point where they did ask, how old are you actually?
Uh-huh.
Many of the time the question was, so from which college you passed out, never realizing that I passed out from the high
Hmm.
school only.
And this even happened after you changed your persona and everything, even after wearing specs and
And
even
yeah,
after that.
I mean, I started wearing specs right after the third interaction. Our first 3 interactions were very bad. People would not even give us 5 minutes to sit and talk to it.
Oh.
Like, I need to do something.
Uh-huh.
So
Right.
specs was the first thing, and after 2 weeks, it was even the beard. So it did help in that sense that we were able to get those 5 minutes.
Right,
But
right,
after
right.
that, it was majorly the clarity and the passion and the value that we add to each and every stakeholder.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so glad, that finally we are in a world where these things don't really matter that much, because at some point of time even when I was in college, even then these things, when I started applying for jobs and all, people were more concerned about the degrees and this and that, and the passion part that was missing. So I'm really glad that we have moved way ahead from all of that, and people really respect the passion and, yeah, the motivation and, the actual idea that people have started bringing on board. So I'm so glad that it worked out for you. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here talking about this beautiful startup that you have started.
Yeah, definitely. I personally now, after almost spending near about 1.5 years, I do realize that people value your words more than your face. I've realized that.
Right, 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 right. Absolutely. All right, Vivek. So can you tell us a little bit about the role of your family? Do you have any siblings, or did you have any inspiration, any inspiration at home, or, yeah, basically the role of your family?
Surely. So, I do have a sibling. So,
Uh-huh.
she's a sister. She's nearly 6 years older than me.
All right.
And she even did provide us with some money at the initial stages.
Oh, that's very
So,
nice. Yeah.
besides that, role of the family has been more of like salt and pepper.
Uh-huh.
So the initial part has been difficult to convince them. They are
Right.
not at all of the notion that I should let go of the chance to do an MBA. So as I told you that I did
Hmm.
started doing it during, MBBS. I
Right,
said
right,
MBA.
right, right.
As I started doing this during my class 11, so after my 12th, I actually did give my entrance test. I did clear the entrance test as well.
Hmm.
But I never ended up going to the college even after getting one in Delhi itself. So,
Hmm.
so that was agitation. It did last year. We were not able to have a very good, healthy relation for the next about 6 months or so. So, and that was a part, but it was majorly the part that we can have a greater impact that kept us pushing on. Though I would like to add on that I was still instilled into a college, so I was enrolled by my dad into a college in DU, so that I just have my constant touch with education.
Absolutely,
After
absolutely.
the seventh day, I never went there. So
okay.
I basically made up my mind that I won't go there.
All right.
And I still remember it was exactly the seventh day I made up my mind that I won't ever complete this thing.
Okay. And how did your father take that decision?
So I used to go there. And the best thing was that I'll take the name of the college. So essentially this is Hansraj College. This is Draper North Campus. And we basically got into an office that is almost only 1.5 kilometers away. So most of the time we used to end up in our office.
Okay, all right. That's fair, yeah.
That office was our incubation center as well. So they supported us with loads and loads of mentors, industrial support. I'll like to take their name. So they go by the name Supreme Incubator. Anyone listening should apply. They are a very good set of people.
All right, people, audience, if you're listening and if you need that kind of support, you know where to head to.
And you can definitely take my name. You'll get some edge.
Perfect. So if you missed out on his name is Vivek Verma, and just absolutely you can use his name for reference. All right. So Vivek, who is your inspiration? Because mostly everyone has some inspiration that they look up to, and possibly somebody who inspires them. Somebody it can be somebody from a movie or a real life person. So yeah.
So I have two inspirations basically. So from very different centuries to work upon. So the first inspiration was John D. Rockefeller. So I fell in love with the view or the passion and the vision that person had back almost more than 100 years ago. And he ended up building what is the largest oil company, Standard Oil. So I think loads of inspiration from him and his work and autobiographies based on him. In the modern era, one of my very major driving inspiration has been Jack Ma. So of Alibaba. So how he actually centered around the emotion of keeping people intact and building something even at a time when China was not going through that well of economic stages.
Absolutely. All right. These are two, absolutely, you picked somebody from the past and somebody from the present. I think that's the right way to go on about.
Yeah, so basically both the centuries were pretty different. The early 1900s and 1800s, late 1800s were capitalism intensive. So they had visions like that. When we talk of early 2000s, it was more of kind of intensive where you can create a democratic value for each stakeholder. So I pick values and parts from both of these great people, great business minds, great people in life as well. So.
Right, absolutely. So you mentioned in the beginning that you do have a mentor. So I would like to possibly, either maybe if it is possible for you to talk about that person a little, and also the importance of having a mentor. Because, many a times what happens is people think that, there's nothing wrong in that, but many a times people think that, they are more than enough in themselves and they drive inspiration from their own self. But I think, having a mentor really changes a lot of things while moving ahead. So why don't you tell people a little about your mentor and why people should have a mentor?
Surely. So I cannot precisely pinpoint one. I've been grateful enough that I have set of mentors at every part. So when with the initial set we were ideating and we were looking out for different aspects that we can take this, then these were the partner from Huddle. So I'll specifically take out the name. Huddle, it's an incubation center again put up in Gurgaon. So their initial set Sanil Sachar and Ishan Khosla, their initial mentors. They're highly grateful. I'm highly grateful to them.
Okay.
The first two people who showed interest in me, who saw the passion. I still remember after our meeting, I basically wrote on the whiteboard that we are striding ahead to improve health. Now, health is spelled as SEALTH. So,
All right.
we made this acronym, I personally made this acronym at the very start. That goes by the name Financial Health. So, we took F from the financial and then the H from health and made the acronym health. And we write this at every part of Sere. So, So this was the first thing that I wrote at the whiteboard, and our conversation started from this acronym.
Okay.
After that, we have found mentors in several sets of people from industries. We have got mentors from pharma because we are dealing in medicine.
Right.
We have got mentors from e-commerce, people into e-commerce and retail. We are dealing both of the guys, both of the sectors.
Right.
Some people from media who help us out with the aspect how efficiently the media industry thinks for different sectors.
Right.
Also, we have got mentors from many parts of the incubation and acceleration. So very recently, we have even become a part of GSF Bootcamp. It is one of the very premier acceleration support across India, and we were fortunate enough to get selected there. So we have interacted with many mentors there. So I cannot pinpoint exactly one.
Yeah.
I have got mentors across different stages.
Right.
So all of them. I can only pinpoint the one that helped us to during that time when we were already rejected by 20 odd people. We were already rejected 20 odd people, low in morale, but they saw that thing and we took it forward from there.
Right, absolutely. And maybe tell people a little about why, people should have a mentor.
I personally believe that these are the set of people who have already spent a reasonable part of this productive life in the industry that you want to conquer or you essentially want to make something and create value. So if you just try to respin the wheel yourself, you'll first come with your set of assumptions that you have personally pertained that those are true.
Right,
so when you interact with these people, they shatter those in the first conversation. You can have a very blank space to work with. So, but there is a very thin line of difference between an assumption and a belief. So having a belief is very well that, okay, now I'll start a new category or I'll start a new revenue stream or I'll start a new kind of design in the industry. But you have to check the basic that does this even make sense in a business aspect? Does it even add value? I already have a product like this that earlier failed or is highly successful, but I do not know of that. So mentors actually help you filter out what you actually want to do. And if you have very good clarity of what you are making, you'll find mentors, and it's even the other way around. Even the mentors find you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, absolutely.
So they bring more and more clarity, and they obviously carry their set of experiences, so they'll prevent you from pitfalls. They'll even teach you how to celebrate better. So
right, absolutely. Wow, I think that is actually going to help a lot of people who will be listening to this, and they will understand the, importance of having someone to sort of, look up to, who has got that kind of experience, and somebody who is just there to sort of, help you move ahead in your path and guide you in the right way. So yeah, thank you for sharing that little bit with us. And okay, Vivek, so can you maybe tell about the stress that comes along with, starting something like this, and how did you handle it? Or how do you still handle it?
Surely. So there is stress, but how I personally handle it is that I switch to my hobby. So I do two things. One is on a very regular basis. I like reading non-fiction, so I switch back to reading non-fiction. And besides that is I like sketching. So I like natural sketching, so I turn back to sketching. But the point is that most of the stress could be dealt with if you are doing what you like. So if I was doing MBBS, that might be more stressful there. So
Right. Absolutely. So, could you tell the audience the book that possibly you are reading right now? And yeah,
okay,
yeah, or maybe name few that you would suggest people to who are into reading, and yeah, maybe suggest some few names for them.
surely. So at this moment, I'm reading two books.
Okay.
So one goes by the name Atomic Habits.
Absolutely.
A very good book, how to actually make and break habits.
Right.
The second one is The Rise of Superman, so by Stephen Kotler. A very well book of how to increase your productivity. So these are my recommendations.
All right. And when we are talking about books, I would like to personally ask a question from you. So, do you still sort of read the old school way of reading, or have you sort of moved ahead and do you read ebooks, or possibly you have Audible on your phone and you just hop on to that and listen to books? So yeah.
I'm not millennial in that aspect. I like to have my books in hand. So I still go by the hard copy because I have personally it's a good habit for me. Some people say it bad that I highlight parts of my book. So, so I like to keep a pen handy while I'm reading a book. So I still go the hard copy way.
Okay. I think, actually, because I am also sort of into reading, and I believe that when you either write some notes or you mark something on the book that you are reading, you are sort of, creating your own story, within a book. So I think, I think that's a very, you are just, leaving your mark. You are imprinting something very personal that possibly, you connected with while you were reading that book. So I absolutely understand that part that, you like marking things. Absolutely.
Yeah. So personally, because I'm majorly into non-fiction reading, and non-fiction reading, many parts have to be done personally or mentally precisely. So when you already have those marked parts, you can directly jump back and look for references. When you were marking, as you rightly said, while marking, you already have a preconceived notion and emotion why you marking that.
Right, absolutely.
So when you reread that marked line, it just clicks very instantly. That's right.
Exactly. So I completely understand your point when it comes to that. All right. So now let's talk about the results of what you have been doing. And although we have talked about it earlier, but let's just, once again, just bring in all the good news and just, bring it on.
Surely. So we did the pilot for 6 months. So from April 2019 to almost till September 2019, we did the pilot where we onboarded 3 retail stores. And we were very pleased to actually see that we were able to serve over 380 families. The number of transactions that we did in a very brief period of 6 months were over 2,200 plus. When we talk of revenue, we were able to generate a revenue of more than 8.5 lakhs.
Wow,
Our best performing retailer was able to earn upwards of 12K as additional income. That was nearly 35% of his previous month normal income, just by partnering with us.
Wow.
On the consumer side, our consumer was able to save near about 40% of their monthly expense on medicines and supplements. So after that, we closed our pilot and now been into the expansion phase. Now in less than 2 months, as said earlier, we are nearly 53 stores strong, alone in South Delhi, daily onboarding near about 3 retailers. Post-COVID, we see that number to shoot in the next 6 months to shoot to near about 900 to 1,200 retailers.
Wow, that's a very, absolutely a great vision to sort of, go ahead with. And okay, just because, this question just came to my mind, so possibly this might also come to the mind of our audience and our listeners. So, how can maybe a retailer get in touch with you if he wants to come on board? Do you pick them, or can they get in touch with you and possibly, you guys take it ahead from there?
Surely. So getting in touch with us is very simple. Either you reach out to any of our partner retailer nearby, or there are other methods. You can drop us a text or give us a call at 8826 450-984, and anyone from our team will revert back, or you can drop us a message on www.sereretail.com. That is SERERETAIL.com. So,
Perfect. Perfect. That's a very, you have made it very easier for people who might be, listening to this or possibly want to recommend it to someone, or maybe a retailer just might be listening to this and want to get in touch with you. So I think this has become very easier to sort of, get in touch with you. All right, Vivek. So now let's talk about your thoughts on entrepreneurship, and maybe, tell a little about why do you think it is important to have a vision for a venture?
definitely. So when we're talking of entrepreneurship, how I saw it is that it has to solve a problem. It cannot be out of blue. The problem could be personal or something in which you have built your part of research. So it has to solve a problem, and how we say it has to solve it in a scalable manner. So that could be replicated across different demographies, geographies, and different sectors also.
Right.
So it has to solve a problem and create value in the whole process for each and every stakeholder for which it is being solved. When we talk of vision, I've personally seen that when we are growing or when we are scaling, many times the level of information that reaches different layers is blurred.
Right.
So if you have a very crisp vision of not more than 5 to 7 words, it actually just embarks or embodies that whole purpose for which the organization was born.
Right.
If you do not have a vision, it is very difficult to explain each and every new hire or a stakeholder or an investor or even your customer what you are making. So just having those 5, 7, 6 words just helps to explain the message very easily.
Right. And I think when you are talking about vision, so I think it also sort of covers the idea of having clarity in your words, and and possibly if you have defined goals, then I think your vision automatically it will become much more clear. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. So as we have vision, so now that's why we are specifically using the word vision, because it is then backed by numbers, data, feedback, and everything. So based on set of data points, you can actually give goals that how much you want to achieve in what amount of time. You can set milestones.
Right, absolutely.
And then only you'll have clarity that where the venture, even in any part. So I believe this even works out in anyone's professional nature, that where you want to see yourself in the next 5 years as a professional or as a company. It's almost the same.
Right. Okay, I would also like to ask you one more question here. So do you ever have to take like compulsive decisions and you just have to sort of, just take them? So how do you decide on that? If you have to go for A or if you have to go for B, and you have to just instantly sort of, take the decision and go ahead with it. So how do you do that? Like, what are your points that you definitely, tick mark, okay, this is there, this is there, this is there, then we are definitely going with A, or,
Surely. So first of all, the thing that we take into consideration is that it should be in the goodwill of the company.
Right.
Besides that, it should not be backfire on any existing stakeholder. The two most important thing, that it should be in the goodwill of the company and should not backfire.
Right.
And besides that, there's loads of advice coming in from different walks of life. But the one thing that again zeroes down to is that why you want to take this step. That will involve manpower, that will involve brains, that will involve money, that will involve almost every part of the company. So why you want to take it. So again, it comes down to the vision, that are we aligned to that one very laser focused goal where we are heading to. That is how it's taken. It's definitely not that I am the founder, I am the CEO, so I'll take every decision. It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's a cumulative decision of advisors, our team members, and we see that we can create a better value. We can create a better value for people and a better value for company. We go ahead with that.
Absolutely. All right. Okay. So now I want you to tell us a little about what the future looks like to you, and Just just a little word, just drop a line or two here.
Definitely. So I'll just drop two small lines. One is the small term and one is the long term. So we see Sere growing to near about 900 to 1200 retailers in the next 9 to 10 months. So that is the small term goal that we have. And the long term, we are seeing Sere to become India's leading branded retail outlet store, outnumbering at this moment the leader, that is Reliance, having almost 18,000 stores by 2023. So the scale at which we are expanding, we shall be able to cross near about 20,000 retailers in the next 36 to 40 months.
Wow, that sounds absolutely brilliant, and I wish you all the good luck for this, the amazing future that you're looking at. And I'm pretty sure that you will reach it. And if you need any kind of support, we are there. And I am so glad to have you on this call, and because you will prove to be an inspiration. And actually, I would like to possibly, maybe if you could tell like one thing to all the teens of the world and possibly inspire them to go ahead with their dreams or visions or any ideas that they have. And sometimes because, people do take a step back. So you are already a living, I would say, an inspiration. So please just go ahead and, inspire our teens all around the world.
I'll just start by saying it's nothing like that actually about inspiration as such. It's just that we're doing something that we like precisely. And that is what gives us the power to even wake up every day and go into the field. When we talk of advice, I personally believe, and myself am pretty young, but the one thing that has driven me or that has been embodied in me by all the advisors that we hear is that have utmost clarity and focus on what you want to do. Many a times it could be against the norms, it could be against other people's wishes, but try to sit across for some time, have a good break alone, and then think that what you truly want to do, and that will help. And then map it out based, just thinking does not help. Map it out accordingly with your set of timelines, and if you have this exact focus, I'll say 3 words that one of my mentors says, that brilliance is expensive. So you need to give the cost somewhere. It could be if you are on your fixed path, you will attain brilliance. And that is what 3 words I personally follow.
Absolutely. All right, Vivek, it was such a pleasure having you on board and, talking to you about this journey of yours. And before I let you go, can you just once again give your phone number and your website where people can reach you? So go ahead, please.
Surely. So you can reach us at mobile number that is 8826450984, or reach us or visit our website, that is www.seretail.com. So that is www.sereretail.com. So you can do this, or you can ping anyone. You can ping me personally, that will work.
Absolutely.
Also, just to add on, we're actively looking for people to join us. So even aspirants with the same vision who think they are ready to build the next big branded chain can join us. So.
Perfect. All right, Vivek, thank you so much for taking out time for this call and for sharing your thoughts and your journey. And so I would like to wish you best of luck, and thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was nice talking to you.
Same here. Absolutely a pleasure. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe.